In life, as in a sport, timing is extremely important. Growing up, I played track along with playing cricket. And timing is important, right? When you're running a relay, timing is extremely important. When you take off, right? If you take off too soon, the person who's going to be giving you the baton is going to be either too late or too early, right? I used to run the second lap in the 4 into 100. And so I learned really quickly that I needed to make sure that my timing was impeccable so that that baton change was going to be extremely right. Just like in cricket, timing is extremely important, right? You need to learn to be able to use timing exactly right. And it's one of those things, right? When you do it correctly in a sport, you know it, right? You know when your timing is off. Right? One of the things I used to do with regard to timing was make sure I got a good night's rest the night before. Made sure that I would actually get my eye in. I remember playing cricket. I used to actually play a little bit of ping pong to get my eye in and to get my timing correctly. Right? So with regard to timing and life, right, there are some things that one can do in order to get your timing correctly. Right, so that's one of the reasons I thought that this was very important for me to include, because as a young person, sometimes, you just think that, any time is good for something and any time is bad for something. I think it's just very important that we get our timing down, right? So let's talk about timing. Let's start off by saying, it's about making sure that you arrive on time, right? So if you're in school, it's important for you to be there earlier than when the school starts. When it's regarding work, it's important for you to get there on time, right? So that's with regard to being on time and maybe, adjusting that. But with regard to timing, right, there is a time. I think it was Solomon who said there is a time for everything. There is a time to be born. There is a time to die. There is a time to sow, and there is a time to actually reap, right? So if you're a farmer, people understood that there is a time for something, right? So based on the weather, based on what time of the year it was, you did certain things. And that's so true when it comes to life. And as a business person, I've had to realize, there were times when, people would come to me saying, hey, this is the time for us to grow internationally. This is the time that we need to go do something in another country. And, I looked at that and said, you know what, that's what this person is saying is important, but I don't think the timing for us to do that is now. And guess what? I have actually said no to it. And guess what? It was the best thing that I did, because I needed to be doing something else during this time. I remember when I lost my job in the year 2000, and there was a real stirring within me, a real desire within me to start my own business. I had worked for somebody for 12 years. I had an extremely successful career, and some or other, as I thought about it, I discerned that the timing for me to start my own company was not yet. And guess what? I went to work as a consultant for 7 years, and there were some aspects of what I needed to learn in those 7 years that I learned as a consultant. I don't think that the timing was right for me to start that company in 2000, even though I had a burning desire to do so. And by waiting and being a little bit more patient, and then the opportunity came up again in the year 2007, and that was the right time. So what I would say to you, based on what I have learned, not only by doing things right, but also making mistakes, that there is a time for everything. And sometimes discerning of that timing is some things that we can do, but that's where you need people around you to kind of guide you, So it's important, if it's an important decision, right, to be able to talk to the people around you, because they may see something that we are not seeing, and by listening and being humble, right? Humility is a good thing when we are talking to people, and that's how we know what the right time is.